I'm very pleased that today I've been able to speak with Volodymyr, who is the minister in the United Methodist Church in Lviv, in Ukraine. For many weeks now, we've seen day by day the heartrending events in Ukraine. And as I'm sure many of you know, Lviv has been the place, the town in Western Ukraine where many of the refugees have come to and gone from in recent days. So, Volodya, welcome to this conversation between Ukraine and England. I wonder, perhaps if you could tell us how. Perhaps you could say how many congregations roughly there are in Ukraine, Methodist ones, and how life has changed, and the ministry of the churches and your ministry has changed since February the 24th.
Oh yeah, there was a people are building plans for the future and planning to buy a house, planning to go for study in that particular university, planning to change their job and move in another place. But when the war started, every plan is totally destroyed, totally changed, every plan, and even the plans of the church. And it was complete, like for first 2 days when the war started. It was for 2 days, we was in a big shock. We was thinking that the war can happen, but we were thinking it can happen, but we was not sure 100% with the big invasion can start. And when the war started, like the first 2 days, we was just in shock. You just, you can't sleep, you can't eat, you just constantly thinking about the things, what is happening, and your thoughts are in your head are shocked, running. And then we start thinking from the first day, we start thinking what we can do at this moment. And there was no plans or ideas to escape. And we understand, especially here in Lviv, we understand that this is time for the church to be involved in helping people. We have this idealistic, maybe because we are very young, that's why we have this idealistic thoughts. But the first, like the thoughts after shock, which came, it's how we can help people, because we understand there will be a lot of refugees, a lot of people who will moving from the east, south, and north. And we start preparing our church for receiving people, and we bought a lot of food, a lot of things was prepared for helping people in the church. And a lot of churches in Ukraine start doing the same things. A lot of churches from the east and south, they was moved, they was forced to escape, to run because of the war, because of the active phase of war, because of the bombing. They escaped more to the western part of Ukraine, and some churches are stayed under bombing, under shelling, like church in Kharkiv. I'm speaking about the Methodist Church. We have around 10 churches in Ukraine, United Methodist churches. The pastor in Kharkiv, he's still there and he's still helping people. He said that he will stay there until there will be people. It's like, the captain should leave the ship, the last one. And I think this is the price of being minister of Christ and being a pastor. You can't just escape and leave your church without leadership. And this is time for leaders to be strong and showing good example what mean to trust God, and don't leave the place for the fear. And this is like the big exam for the church, for the leaders, for the people, and big test. I said, I
In,
would
in
rather
your,
say.
in your own church building, Volodya, you've really sort of made it a center, I think, for refugees coming from the east and the south.
Yeah, it was, we don't, I will explain how our church look like. We have the big, like 2 apartments combined together in the 4th floor at the center of the city, Lviv. It's a big one. It's like 200 square meters. We design everything for having a lot of small rooms. And we had the kindergarten here before the war, many years. Every day it was open because we have a student center. So everything was designed and made like, you know, in some way we was feeling that we need to be prepared for help, like having a lot of people in the church. So we have 2 kitchens, like 2 showers and toilets. Everything is ready, not just for the regular church, like every place is the sanctuary, but we have a lot of rooms and it's look like a great place to live, to stay. And everything was like prepared for that. And our church on the 4th floor, so we was able to host like 20 people in the one day. In one night we can have like 20 people. So we separate the rooms. My office will be for the mother with the kids. This room, the sanctuary, which is a little bit bigger room, around close to the 50 square meters, it will be for ladies. That room will be for the men's. This is 2 kitchens for eating. And so we was thinking strategically, and we don't have any like employee in the church. Every job that we was making, every work, it was made by volunteers. And I had like 2 more people who was with me all the time and who was able to be here like 24/7 without any vacation, without any rest. If we was working as a big hotel, we was joking that it's our church is like a hotel. We bought the dryer machine for the clothes, so we can dry the towels, because we were supposed to learn new skills, and like how to manage things with the food, with cooking for a lot of people, like buying stuff, washing clothes, have everything set up for helping people. It was like around 20 people in the first 3 weeks of war. We had like around 20 people in a day in the church who was sleeping. And also
some of them would have been from places where there was, you know, very severe bombing. And
yeah, there was a lot of people who was just, it was so shocked, you know, when I saw like a lot of people was like in the big fear and scared. Some people was just sitting and shaking all the time because never before they have this experience of war, just sitting and shaking. And it was not just about giving them food and shelter. We was talking with them, praying with them, and all of them know this is the church, and we are doing this because because we are the church, and it's normal for us to help people. And a lot of ladies with the kids, most of them was moving like to the Europe. They would stay here 1-2 days just to have a rest, just to gather with the thoughts and think what to do next. Because many people leave their house just with the clothes on them, just a passport, clothes on them, and have nothing. So we was managed to find the clothes for them and give them money for the trip, for the road, and many times was helping them to get to the border, and then they can cross the border. And the first day was the hardest days because there was a lot of panic, and there was like lines on the border like for 2-3 days, 4 days sometimes. And it was winter. It was -5 in the night. snow and freezing temperature. So it was complicated on the first days. But thanks to God, it was able to do the things what we can do the best. It's helping people and talking to people.
I heard a sermon that you preached on the calming of the waters, the calming of the storm.
Oh yeah.
That's I think, very important to hear that, and a reminder that we're not alone, whatever the storm brings.
Oh yeah, man, it's the preaching during the war, when you see the death and the fear in the eyes of the people and their life are destroyed. It's completely different than to preach when you are in peace and when everything's set up. It's different. You need to find the words to help people. You need to find words to help them, and it's complicated. It was every time when I was supposed to go, because we was having a lot of people and helping. Beside of that, we have ministry, which was running. We don't stop anything. So we have Sunday service, we have Thursday service for our youth organization, and it's every time I was sitting and asking God what I should tell them, because you can't find the book like preaching during the war. This is the best topics what you should preach during the war.
There are no textbooks on that in theological colleges, are there?
Yeah, we don't have like any any subject in the seminary for that, but this is what we were supposed to learn, what I was supposed to learn, how to encourage people, talk to the people, and to cry with them also. And yeah, because we was staying with the people all the time. I was basically living in the church during that time for 2 weeks, because my apartment, which I'm renting, it's very close to the airport, and the airport was one of the targets.
Yes.
It was bombed probably on the 3rd week. On that time I was at home. It was interesting experience. The whole building was just shaking.
And your wife and the 2 boys, they're safe.
They was in a village with my mom, with my parents for 3 weeks, and then my wife decided we should go to the Europe, because our village, which where my parents live, they are very close to this Yavoriv training center, which was bombed. And it's very close. So we decide they should go, and I take them to the bus station. And one of the hardest things for me at this time of the war, it's a train station and bus stations, because it's the hardest. It's to see the young fathers are saying goodbye for their kids. Man, this is the hardest. I was there like a couple times. Personally, I was like saying goodbye for my wife and kids. They go to Czech Republic, and also I was with another families who was taking their relatives to the train station or bus station. It's a heartbreaking moment, man. It's time when the men are crying, and you never know when the next time you can see them.
British television has every day. I mean, we see our reporters are in Lviv and Kiev daily reports, and some of the BBC correspondents, in Dnipro, they've gone to, and they tell some, heartbreaking stories, but they tell them very meaningfully. And we're incredibly impressed, if that's a very good word, by the courage of the Ukrainian people. I mean, we feel it, we see it every day.
We are and honestly, we're surprised by the courage that the Ukrainians have. for fighting for their land.
Mm.
They are willing to sacrifice their own life for protect others. And we have a lot of stories when the soldiers they actually standing till the death, and they will not give up. And especially in Mariupol,
Yes.
they are just they are standing. They know they will. Many of them will die. Probably maybe all of them will die. And they know what the price they are paying. It's not just about the city, it's about keeping the forces of the enemy like on them, because otherwise they will go and just fight on another front. So they are taking attention of the enemy on them, helping our Ukrainian army.
It's so sad. I mean, I know two Russians here in our area. One I've known for many years, and you know, to hear them. I mean, certainly one who is a surgeon himself, lived in Britain for 30 years, and you know, says, I just wish the war would stop, which we all do. But then he says things like, oh, you know, you're only seeing one side of the story, and the BBC has propaganda as does Russian. But you know, when we know and see what's happening, there is no narrative that makes that correct and right.
Yeah, during this time of war, I was observing three kinds of people, like with the information. Those who are watching like just our regular TV channels, like Ukrainian, like BBC, like they're reading Associated Press, they have access to everything. They have very like a good position, like pro-Ukrainian, pro-life position. Yeah. And there is another side who's watching and decide to look on Russian propaganda, because I can't say it. It's a journalistic. It's a propaganda. I have nothing with the journalism. And there is a people who are sitting on the both sides. And what is interesting, those who are sitting on the both sides and saying, I'm watching this news, and I know everything. This is the people who do nothing, honestly. They don't give money for support, they don't help refugees, they don't help anyone, but they said, this is my experience. All people who I know who's watching all news and saying, oh, everyone is lying, everyone have some truth. And this is the people who have zero support for anyone. They don't care about anyone. They never help refugees, never help with the money, never help with the food, never. This is my observation. Everyone who have that position of everyone is lying, they useless in this time. You can't search support from them, which is.
Do you feel, Volodya, there are more ways that, you know, ordinary Methodists like us here can help? I mean, certainly, I know some who've offered and are in the process to receive refugees from Ukraine. Many of us help. We go to a big warehouse where food and you know, large consignments are going in lorries to the Polish border, to Romanian border, and so on. So things are happening, and people do try to help. Is there a specific way that, you know, we could help you, do you think?
Besides of prayers, which is very helpful, I think there is some ideas that we have here in Lviv. We was thinking about people who already lost their houses, and we was thinking about to find some, like, the house in the village to buy, like in the name of the church, to buy it and to help like 10, 15 people to have them for 1 or 2 years, because we realized that we can't rebuild all houses in 1 or 2 years. We lost, like, the whole cities are destroyed, and there's
Terrible.
millions of people.
You know, was it saying 90% of Mariupol destroyed?
Yeah. Yeah, people, like a couple 100,000 minimum lost their houses, millions lost their houses. A lot of cities, a lot of villages near Kiev, near Kharkiv, Chernihiv, they lost their houses. And also people who's under occupation now, like Kherson, which is under occupation, and all the south of Ukraine are occupied by Russians, and people running from there. No one want to live under Russian, because like in the Soviet times, they was forcing people to leave, and a lot of people just escaping because no one want to live under Russian occupation. Because a lot of people who's like directors of the schools, directors of the universities, they are leaving, they escaping. They don't want to be, they don't want to teach kids under Russian rulership. And so the Russians are putting some random people on the position of the directors of the schools, which is typical communist way. They was taking some guy who's we're not sure that he can write correctly, but they put them director of the school, the director of the mayor of the city.
Toe the party line, as we used to say.
Yeah, because they choosing this like down people like be in charge of the study process. And
so the project you're hoping for, Volodya, is a house where people can, some people could stay while they're internally displaced for a long period rather than a shorter period, given the terrible situation of destruction.
Yeah, we can host the people in the church here like for a couple months, but we realized it's very hard to be around the people all the time. Now it's 1 week to 3 weeks, but then you need to have some private space.
Yeah,
because otherwise it will be very hard for you mentally, and we don't want to make it like a prison. No. In some ways, it's like people don't have another option. They need to have some private space. They need to have some privacy.
Well, and do keep us in. Do keep me informed about your project, and we'll see if we can help in some way. Could I ask one final question, Volodymyr, while we're recording? Many people, perhaps in the United Kingdom, will not have known that there were fellow Methodists in Ukraine. I just wonder how you became a Methodist and ultimately, then a pastor.
Oh, yeah.
In 2 minutes.
I heard the gospel. I grew up in a Greek Catholic church, and when I have 18, I heard the gospel about Jesus Christ, and it was preached to me, and I came here to. We have Methodist missionaries here from United States, and they have this student organization. For interconfessional Christian student organization called Youth to Jesus. And basically there was a lot of students, a lot of young people, they was preaching the gospel to them. And at that period of time, I start like following Jesus. And I start coming to this organization, and then they decide to start the church. When I almost graduated university, there was an idea to start the church, because there was a lot of young people who don't have church, who was not connected with the church, or they was from another city. So there was idea to start the church. And when I start coming, to the church, I would just start doing things, helping and teaching and small groups, camps. And actually, honestly, I never have idea or dreams to be the pastor. I never have that kind of desire. I was scared to speak in front of people.
But God had other plans.
Yeah, I was just like wrestling with God, because he had the plan. I heard he was saying to me that this is the way where he's taking me, but I have a calling, but I had too much fear for that position. And but God's win, like always. And I said, yes, I will try. I will try. And step by step, I just keep doing things. And also I became a pastor here in Lviv.
That's a wonderful story, that, you know, God works in our lives in ways that, as at the beginning, we would never imagine that would happen in the ways that it does. Well, Volodya, I'm going to stop the recording now, but we've still 2 or 3 more minutes, but I'll stop the recording now and formally thank you for your time. I know
thank you.
Time is important for you, and but I hope that those who hear your interview, and I'm sure they will be very grateful to hear personally from somebody, you know, in the situation, and of the faith and the love that you and your fellow church members are showing. So thank you, Volodymyr, and be assured of our prayers. Every Sunday since the end of February, always in every church I've been at, Ukraine has been prayed for. So
thank you.
Every blessing to you and your fellow Methodists there in Lviv.